So we've been through mesh modeling, we've been through Boolean where you kind of add and subtract forms. Now I want to show you another way of working, and that is sculpting. So File, we're in 3D view here, File, New, and we've been going General the whole time. Now if we go to Sculpting, we get this window come up. It reacts just the same, and you get given a kind of default sphere in the middle. But as you can see, if we go into wireframe, has been subdivided pretty finely already. Okay, and that's important. If you don't have fine subdivisions, the sculpting doesn't work because you haven't got enough detail to manipulate. And then basically down the left-hand side here, you've got a whole bunch of tools that sculpt the surface. So the blue represents where it's happening and what size it is. Obviously, if you zoom away, then the brush is sort of bigger on the surface. But if you're in close and you want to change the size of the surface, I use square brackets, so that's my shortcut. Okay, square brackets increases and reduces that. What else have we got here? Draw sharp, so that kind of draws right into it. And in a way, all of these brushes are very similar. They just either pull it out, make it expand, or contract. Somebody has sat there and sort of designed each default tool, and then kind of added it into the program. If you again go onto YouTube and have a look at sculpting in Blender, you'll find that you can kind of customize your own tools and get very clever. And like so much in this program, there's a whole nother element to it that I haven't got time to go into, and I don't know how to go into it. But that's it. Sculpting is something I use a lot of, but what I do is I would have made the form some other way, and then let me just reduce the size with the square bracket a bit. I will make a form in mesh modeling, and then you'll see how you can come in and out of sculpting mode, like you go in and out of edit mode, and then you can sort of do some sculpting as well as mesh modeling all in one piece. And I think that's a real strength of the Blender software. So at the moment, you can see I'm just kind of really going for it. This is what crease here. If you hang in there, it gives you a name so you can remember what it is. And this is quite nice if you want to kind of really accentuate some of the textures that you can get. You can see it's now pulling in the space in between, rather than expanding it out. There's kind of just a grab and pull here, so let's grab some down there. To the point, we can kind of really just start extruding or pulling out large areas. Go back in, let's put some more blobs on. So if by any chance you've sculpted something in a mesh, and then you bring it in here, and for some reason it doesn't seem to really be working, very often it's because you don't have enough subdivisions. Say that for mesh modeling, and I'll cover this in another video, where I take something from edit object mode into sculpture mode. But I'm just kind of trying to work this a little bit more. Something will happen quite quickly. Okay, quite a nice thing down here is rotate, so you can really kind of, I wouldn't overdo it, but really kind of mush up some surfaces, get some quite strong textures on here. So you can see this is quite a lot really about surface rather than form. I think the way to work is to rather try and get the form in a mesh or through a boolean or something like that, and then come in here possibly to rather work the surface. Right, I think smooth is something I use a lot of, and that's even just for smoothing out, details from some other mesh. I might just quickly come into sculpt mode to. It's not doing a lot. What I want to do. Right, so I've now got this form, and possibly I want to try and print this. But once again, I need a base and a top, and you need a sort of a wideish base to start printing from. It can't print from a kind of very narrow base. So I need to do a bit of editing. So we're in sculpt mode, it defaults to sculpt mode. We went file, new, sculpt, so it's automatically sculpt. So now we can go down into edit mode, and there it is in edit mode or object mode. Let's go into object mode and look at it from the X direction and the Z direction. Now I actually want, let's make this the top and this the bottom. So I'm going to rotate it because I now want to flatten one end. Let's scale a little bit in the Z direction as well. And obviously, over in edit mode, you could put on your proportional editing and then wireframe, so that if we deselect now and put in a box select and scale not in the Z direction, you see we can be mixing editing and sculpting without a problem. So in actual fact, back to solid form, you can see there's a lot of vertices or points on here, but I could be grabbing one there, G for grab, and if I just zoomed in with the mouse, it would just be a point. So this is acting quite similarly to the sculpt mode. You can see the relationship between the two. Actually, it's quite nice textures. I'm going to end up cutting off at the bottom there, but anyway. So back into object mode. Let's go X, so that we're looking at it from straight on. Now I want to flatten off the bottom here, and the easiest way to do this is through a boolean, a subtraction boolean. So add mesh cube. Okay, switch on the move, just to be able to place it. And scale that, let's not do it in the Z direction, so it's kind of a base. Okay, so I can now, it's going to cut off here, so I move this up to a position that I sort of feel when I come to print it, it's going to be stable. So I think that's looking quite stable. Here's my quad sphere, that is what they gave us to begin with, and this is my cube, just to make sure I know what I'm talking about here. And I want to boolean that from that, so it's the spanner, boolean, or modifier, boolean, and I want the difference here, and the object is the cube, that is that base, and yeah, there's the orange line around the bottom, so that's all good, and apply. And let's take the light away from that. Okay, so there we've got a flat base to kind of my very organic natural object. Let's just scale that a little bit again in the Z. Right, Now something like this you could try printing and it'd go up, and it probably wouldn't quite print the very top here. You'd get into trouble a bit there, I think. So let's make it quite pointy by going, say, back into sculpt mode, and where's the pull, and go into front view, and let's pull all of this up here, make this a little bit bigger. Take it over a little bit. Okay, so you can see there I kind of did a boolean that's done in object mode. I did a bit of editing, working in edit mode, and now gone back into sculpt mode, and I would save it in object mode, so you could save that and then export that.